writing this under an appreciable mental strain, since by tonight I shall be no more. Penniless, and at the end of my supply of the drug which alone makes life endurable, I can bear the torture no longer, and shall cast myself from this garret window into the squalid street below. Do not think from my slavery to morphine that I am a weakling or a degenerate. When you have read these hastily scrawled pages, you may guess, though never fully realize, why it is that I must have forgetfulness or death.
Jesus. What a way to start, huh? So, this is Dagon. My apologies if I'm saying that wrong. I know there's going to be some gatekeepers in the comments telling me in every which way I have pronounced that word wrong. It could be Dagon? I don't know. Dagon was a short story written by H.P. Lovecraft. It was one of the first pieces of fiction that some are saying is the origin of the Cthulhu mythos. Now that's a bit misleading, as it doesn't really detail or give any kind of indication as to where the origin of the cosmic horrors within the Cthulhu mythos originated from. Rather, it's the first piece of work that Lovecraft wrote that would later be referenced within the mythos itself. Bit of an origin story, but also kind of not. So it has been adapted to this medium, an interactive, narrative-driven story that is very limited in mechanics, but is currently sitting at a 97% overwhelmingly positive review rating on Steam with like 3,000 reviews. And I can't even count how many people have asked me to play this game because obviously it's Lovecraft, so we're doing it. Now, I'm going to be honest, I've never actually read the short story Dagon. I do understand the premise, though, with a little bit of research. We're going to go through that whole story and experience it. If you guys want to check it out for yourself, a link is down in the description below. But just sit back and relax, because we're doing it right now.
It was in one of the most open and least frequented parts of the broad Pacific that the packet of which I was supercargo fell a victim to the German sea raider.
Right, okay. So I can't really move. It's like a point and click, but 3D space. That's pretty neat, actually. Jesus.
The Great War was then at its very beginning, and the ocean forces of the Hun had not completely sunk to their later degradation.
Okay, beginning of the Great War.
So that our vessel was made a legitimate prize, whilst we of her crew were treated with all the fairness and consideration due us as naval prisoners. So liberal, indeed, was the discipline of our captors, that 5 days after we were taken, I managed to escape alone in a small boat with water and provisions for a good length of time.
Okay, so he ended up wow. So our guy here, which I believe will never be named, but this guy was prisoner for 5 days before escaping. Open ocean, it's terrifying shit.
When I finally found myself adrift and free, I had but little idea of my surroundings.
Okay, yeah, this is...
Never a competent navigator, I could only guess vaguely by the sun and stars that I was somewhat south of the equator.
I heard something. What the hell was that? Did I just hear like a baby? I heard something whine in my left ear, dude. I'm going mad already.
Of the longitude, I knew nothing, and no island or coastline was in sight.
Yeah. Ha! See, I'm hearing something talk, dude. What? I'm getting out of there.
The weather kept fair, and for uncounted days I drifted aimlessly beneath the scorching sun, waiting either for some passing ship or to be cast on the shores of some habitable land.
Habitable. I know. See, I'm still hearing it. Oh, I'm wondering if maybe that's just a part of the audio recording. You know what I mean? Like maybe they filmed it in their backyard.
But neither ship nor land appeared, and I began to despair in my solitude upon the heaving vastness of unbroken blue.
Unbroken blue. God, man.
The change happened whilst I slept. Its details I shall never know. For my slumber, though troubled and dream-infested, was continuous.
Hi. Okay.
When at last I awoke, it was to discover myself half sucked into a slimy expanse of hellish black mire, which extended about me in monotonous undulations as far as I could see, and in which my boat lay grounded some distance away.
Yeah, I ain't getting back to that, I'm gonna be honest. So, okay, not a dream.
Though one might well imagine that my first sensation would be of wonder at so prodigious and unexpected a transformation of scenery, I was in reality more horrified than astonished.
I wonder if the character did eventually believe that this
For
was
there
just a
was
nightmare,
in the
right?
air and in the rotting soil a sinister quality which chilled me to the very core. The region was putrid with the carcasses of decaying fish and of other, less describable things which I saw protruding from the nasty mud of the unending plain. Perhaps I should not hope to convey in mere words the unutterable hideousness that can dwell in absolute silence and barren immensity.
This narrator is unbelievable. The voice actor, whoever's reading this, god damn.
There was nothing within hearing and nothing in sight save a vast reach of black slime. Yet the very completeness of the stillness and the homogeneity of the landscape oppressed me with a nauseating fear.
Yeah, that's the fear, man. That is such a good description of, like, I don't know, the fear that I end up feeling that is indescribable to me, that I get when I witness something or I hear something that is, you know, is intended to instill that fear. This is a great description. Oppressed me with a nauseating fear.
The sun was blazing down from a sky which seemed to me almost black in its cloudless cruelty, as though reflecting the inky marsh beneath my feet.
Am I really stepping on this? See, now that thing, I feel comfortable. I feel comfortable with that. You know what I mean? I feel comfortable with this little squid too. I mean, kinda. There you are. Yeah, I mean, that's just a giant squid. I'm rather large. These things are actually kind of small. And then I'm looking at the boat. That's my lifeboat. It's still a little creepy though. The fish though, I don't know what the hell are you. See, they got washed up from a different time too. They're not meant to be here. Same as I. Oh, the origins of Dagon. Dagon seemed to be inspired by Fishhead, a short novel by Irvin S. Cobb about unnatural affinities between a hybrid idiot and the strange fish of an isolated lake. Supernatural horror in literature, H.P. Lovecraft, and Lovecraft's dream about a strange island emerging from the ocean and him crawling in the ooze that covered its surface. I dreamed that whole hideous crawl and can yet feel the ooze sucking me down. Lovecraft's interest in the topic stemmed from his aversion to fish and sea smells. In his own words, I have hated fish and feared the sea and everything connected with it since I was 2 years old. But I cannot recall what earlier experience gave me such a profound and lasting aversion to the sea and seafood. The Dweller in Darkness, Lovecraft, 1927. Yeah, it's pretty gross. See, I think the fear that I have of the open ocean, the sea, is kind of like it's more of what is being portrayed here than it is just kind of like a repulsion of what it contains, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a deep-seated fear of, well, I have no idea what's there, what's under the surface, how far it goes, no grasp of that. I mean, trying to grasp space is already impossible, you know, let alone something so close to home. I can't even, it's so bizarre, right? Ooh, no, don't, okay. That's disgusting.
As I crawled into the stranded boat, I realized that only one theory could explain my position. Through some unprecedented volcanic upheaval, a portion of the ocean floor must have been thrown to the surface, exposing regions for which innumerable millions of years had lain hidden under unfathomable watery depths.
Right. Yeah. Reasonable explanation. I like that.
So great was the extent of the new land which had risen beneath me that I could not detect the faintest noise of the surging ocean, straining my ears as I might. Nor were there any seafowl to prey upon the dead things.
That's a good observation too. See, I would have missed right by that. Now what is that? Mass. Pulsating. Like the heart of this land or something.
For several hours I sat thinking or brooding in the boat, which lay upon its side and afforded a slight shade as the sun moved across the heavens.
Oh, okay, I saw that. I saw that. There it is.
As the day progressed, the ground lost some of its stickiness and seemed likely to dry sufficiently for traveling purposes in a short time. That night I slept but little, and the next day I made for myself a pack containing food and water, preparatory to an overland journey in search of the vanished sea and possible rescue.
Yeah, I agree with the venturing out thing. I'm just wondering why you're not questioning how these things are still alive, considering they need water. I mean, the fish is clearly dead. I can't eat that. I'll start going mad, like the great catch, or the miraculous catch.
On the third morning, I found the soil dry enough to walk upon with ease. The odor of the fish was maddening, but I was too much concerned with graver things to mind so slight an evil, and set out boldly for an unknown goal.
Got any secrets for me? Nothing? Ugh. Awful. Awful mess.
All day I forged
God!
steadily westward, guided by a faraway hummock which rose higher than any other elevation on the rolling desert.
It's starting to get a little unrecognizable. I hate Day of Dragons, dude. Every asset, free asset they've used, not maybe free asset, but assets you can obviously buy and put into a game if you're a game developer. I'm sorry to break the tension. It's just annoying because I see this thing and I want to attribute it to the story that I'm witnessing, but fucking Day of Dragons ruined that shit by utilizing that stupid thing and then making merch on it. Oh my god. All right, anyway, let's get back, suck back into the story. Here we go. All day I forged steadily westward, guided by a faraway hummock, which rose higher than any other elevation on the rolling desert. Oh, shit. Don't you blink at me.
That night, I encamped, and on the following day still traveled toward the hummock, though that object seemed scarcely nearer than when I had first espied it.
God, it's just gonna get progressively worse, man. I know it is.
By the fourth evening, I attained the base of the mound, which turned out to be much higher than it had appeared from a distance.
Oh, is this the mound that was moving? It's probably because there's something in there, man.
An intervening valley setting it out in sharper relief from the general surface. Too weary to ascend, I slept in the shadow of the hill. I know not why my dreams were so wild that night.
Sorry, what? I know not why my dreams were so wild that night.
But ere the waning and fantastically gibbous moon had risen far above the eastern plain.
What? Dude, I know exactly why.
I was awake in a cold perspiration, determined to sleep no more. Such visions as I had experienced were too much for me to endure again. And in the glow of the moon I saw how unwise I had been to travel by day. Without the glare of the parching sun, my journey would have cost me less energy. Indeed, I now felt quite able to perform the ascent which had deterred me at sunset.
Oh, my bag.
Picking up my pack, I started for the crest of the eminence. I have said that the unbroken monotony of the rolling plain was a source of vague horror to me. But I think my horror was greater when I gained the summit of the mound and looked down the other side into an immeasurable pit or canyon.
Oh no. There's no sea.
Whose black recesses the moon had not yet soared high enough to illumine.
Oh.
I felt myself on the edge of the world.
Yeah.
Peering over the rim into a fathomless chaos of eternal night.
Whoa, what is that?
Through my terror ran curious reminiscences of Paradise Lost, and of Satan's hideous climb through the unfashioned realms of darkness. As the moon climbed higher in the sky, I began to see that the slopes of the valley were not quite so perpendicular as I had imagined. Ledges and outcroppings of rock afforded fairly easy footholds for a descent.
No need to let the madness consume you entirely.
Whilst after a drop of only a few hundred feet, the declivity became very gradual. Urged on by an impulse which I cannot definitely analyze, I scrambled with difficulty down the rocks and stood on the gentler slope beneath.
There's a goddamn monolith, dude.
Gazing into the Stygian deeps, where no light had yet penetrated. All at once, my attention was captured by a vast and singular object on the opposite slope, which rose steeply about 100 yards ahead of me. An object that gleamed whitely in the newly bestowed rays of the ascending moon.
God, the way Lovecraft described everything was so bizarre, so foreign to me, but it's so descriptive. It's unbelievable how, like, I can interpret those words, understand the context, never have heard them before, but understand, like, the feeling, the horror that he's describing. It's unbelievable. What a good writer.
That it was merely a gigantic piece of stone, I soon assured myself.
Yeah, carved perfectly.
But I was conscious of a distinct impression that its contour and position were not altogether the work of nature. Precisely. A closer scrutiny filled me with sensations I cannot express. For despite its enormous magnitude, and its position in an abyss which had yawned at the bottom of the sea since the world was young, I perceived beyond a doubt that the strange object was a well-shaped monolith, whose massive bulk had known the workmanship and perhaps the worship of living and thinking creatures.
It's quite an assumption right there.
Dazed and frightened, yet not without a certain thrill of the scientist's or archaeologist's delight, I examined my surroundings more closely.
I'm sorry? Did I disturb something? Oh god, dude, this...
The moon, now near the zenith, shone weirdly and vividly above the towering steeps that hemmed in the chasm, and revealed the fact that a far-flung body of water flowed at the bottom, winding out of sight in both directions, and almost lapping my feet as I stood on the slope.
Damn, dude, it's like... When he said transformation, right? Or did he say transformation? The change, something like when he kind of zoned out, probably fell asleep, woke up, washed up on this weird shore. It's almost like the earth inverted. You know what I mean? Like this small body of water, when inverted, would be a small piece of land in an otherwise endless and open ocean, right? And now it's like an endless and open plain and mountainous region with a small body of water left. That's kind of... It's kind of an interesting contrast to the other world, or like something like the Upside Down, or you know, the direction that Silent Hill, you know, took.
Across the chasm, the wavelets washed the base of the Cyclopean monolith, on whose surface I could now trace both inscriptions and crude sculptures.
Yeah, I see that. I see it. I'm so fucking afraid right now. Something's in this water. You know it, right?
The writing was in a system of hieroglyphics unknown to me, and unlike anything I'd ever seen in books.
I mean, the fish on the side look pretty normal.
Consisting for the most part of conventionalized aquatic symbols such as fishes, eels, octopi, crustaceans, mollusks, whales, and the like.
Oh my god, there he is. There it fucking is. I didn't even see it till just now. I mean, I'm, you know, naturally...
Several characters obviously represented marine things which are unknown to the modern world.
Oh my god, there's a different one. Look at that. Holy shit.
But whose decomposing forms I had observed on the ocean-risen plain. It was the pictorial carving, however, that did most to hold me spellbound.
storytelling methods. Dagon contains many themes and storytelling methods that Lovecraft developed in his later works, such as telling a story through carvings at the Mountains of Madness, the Nameless City, journals and characters' notes, the Shadow out of Time, the Haunter of the Dark, islands emerging from the ocean, the Call of Cthulhu, or fictional beings and deities based on real events and mythologies, Migo and the Whisperer in Darkness. It's also considered the origin of the popular Cthulhu mythos. Some of Lovecraft's other stories also conclude in a manner similar to Dagon, but let's skip the details in order not to spoil the ending. Thank you. I'm really enjoying this.
Plainly visible across the intervening water, on account of their enormous size, were an array of bas-reliefs whose subjects would have excited the envy of a doré. I think that these things were supposed to depict men, at least a certain sort of men.
The deep ones.
Though the creatures were shown disporting like fishes in the waters of some marine grotto, or paying homage at some monolithic shrine, which appeared to be under the waves as well.
Oh shit. That's this monolith.
Of their faces and forms I dare not speak in detail, for the mere remembrance makes me grow faint. Grotesque beyond the imagination of a Poe or a Bulwer.
Oh.
They were damnably human in general outline, despite webbed hands and feet, shockingly wide and flabby lips, glassy, bulging eyes, and other features less pleasant to recall. Curiously enough, they seem to have been chiseled badly out of proportion with their scenic background. For one of the creatures was shown in the act of killing a whale, represented as but little larger than himself.
Oh, God!
I remarked, as I say, their grotesqueness and strange size, but in a moment decided that they were merely the imaginary gods of some primitive fishing or seafaring tribe. Some tribe whose last descendant had perished eras before the first ancestor of the Piltdown or Neanderthal man was born.
I'm scared to press this dude.
Awestruck at this unexpected glimpse into a past beyond the conception of the most daring anthropologist, I stood musing whilst the moon cast queer reflections on the silent channel before me. Then, suddenly, I saw it.
You saw what? Oh!
With only a slight churning to mark its rise to the surface, the thing slid into view above the dark waters.
Oh my God!
Loathsome, it darted like a stupendous monster of nightmares to the monolith, about which it flung its gigantic scaly arms, while it bowed its hideous head and gave vent to certain measured sounds.
Jesus Christ, man.
I think I went mad then.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. Jesus, man. Interactive point-and-click story. Not expected to get jump scared here.
Of my frantic ascent of the slope and cliff, and of my delirious journey back to the stranded boat, I remember little.
It's wet. Get the hell out.
I believe I sang a great deal and laughed oddly when I was unable to sing.
It's also such a strange phenomenon that I'm like, I very clearly know that this is kind of a recollection. And it seems like our character's like writing this or recalling this to someone, you know? So I know that we lived through this experience, but it's still so frightening. A lot of people think, oh, why are you scared? You're not going to actually die. It's like, just dude, this is fear-inducing. That's the whole point. There's plenty of scary stories out there where the people don't die. It's not about dying. Dying would be a blissful, fucking, like, merciful ending to something like this, which I think is where this character's going, right?
I have indistinct recollections of a great storm sometime after I reached the boat. At any rate, I know that I heard pearls of thunder and other terms which nature utters only in her wildest When I came out of the shadows, I was in a San Francisco hospital.
Ooh.
Brought thither by the captain of the American ship which had picked up my boat in mid-ocean.
Ugh, not feeling so well. I can't turn my head.
In my delirium, I had said much, but found that my words had been given scant attention.
Yeah. I mean, the ramblings of a madman, right? No, who listens to that? No one cares.
Of any land upheaval in the Pacific, my rescuers knew nothing. Nor did I deem it necessary to insist upon a thing which I knew they could not believe.
Yeah. Uh-oh. It followed me back.
Once I sought out a celebrated ethnologist and amused him with peculiar questions regarding the ancient Philistine legend of Dagon, the fish god.
Dagon. Oh boy, I'm gonna hear a mouthful in the comments, aren't I? Dagon. Gotcha. Dagon was the main deity of the Philistines, worshipped throughout the Middle East as the ancient god of fertility and crops. In Hebrew, the word Dagon was a common noun for grain. The rulers of Akkad, Mesopotamia, chose him as a patron saint of their war conquest. He also appeared as the judge of the dead in an Assyrian poem, in an underworld prison warder in one of the Babylonian texts. He's often mistakenly taken for a fish god due to the wrong interpretation of his name, as in Hebrew the word dag means fish. In H.P. Lovecraft's work, Dagon is an underwater deity, ruling over the deep ones, a humanoid race with fish traits that resides in the oceans. He is worshipped by a secret cult called the Esoteric Order of Dagon. Dagon, sorry. God damn it. Yeah, there he is right there. Look at that. He's got one leg, one hand, and a whole ass fish body. Oh. That felt nauseating to move right there. It's like I'm moving within a small sphere.
But soon perceiving that he was hopelessly conventional, I did not press my inquiries. It is at night, especially when the moon is gibbous and waning, that I see the thing. I tried morphine.
Okay, so it came after naturally. Makes
but
more
the drug
sense.
has given only transient surcease, and has drawn me into its clutches as a hopeless slave.
Yeah.
So now, I am to end it all, having written a full account for the information or the contemptuous amusement of my fellow men.
Here we are. Overdose on morphine? Alcohol.
Often, I ask myself if it could not all have been a pure phantasm.
Yes.
A mere freak of fever as I lay sun-stricken and raving in the open boat after my escape from the German man of war. This I ask myself, but ever does there come before me a hideously vivid vision in reply. I cannot think of the deep sea without shuddering at the nameless things that may at this very moment be crawling and floundering on its slimy bed.
You shut your mouth right now.
Worshipping their ancient stone idols and carving their own detestable likenesses on submarine obelisks of water-soaked granite. I dream of a day when they may rise above the billows to drag down into their reeking talons the remnants of puny, war-exhausted mankind. Of a day when the land shall sink and the dark ocean shall ascend amidst universal pandemonium.
Ooh. I love that. I love that so much.
The end is near. I hear a noise at the door, as of some immense slippery body lumbering against it. It shall not find me.
Don't do it, man. It's not worth it. It's all in your head.
God, that hand! The window! The window!
No! No! I don't want to! Okay, fine. Oh shit, what? Thank you for playing. I hope you enjoyed immersing yourself in our little pool of cosmic horror. We would appreciate if you took a moment to rate Dagon and check out our other games and DLCs. The Eldritch Box DLC? What is this shit? Oh my god. Yeah. Tales of Herring Lake. I'm gonna have to look into some of this stuff. Holy shit. That was incredible. I think that was incredibly well done. I see why it has such a positive review. It's really, and it may just be the way that this was told in this form. It really plays into, it just feels a lot more like they had a horrible nightmare and they were driven mad by it, right? Because sometimes you can have some dreams, man, that really fucking stick with you, right? I'm assuming that reading the story in its entirety without the access to the visual medium would kind of maybe derive a different outlook or a different perspective on the story, and I think maybe it would feels more that it was real, and that's what really drove him mad, and that it's everyone else that doesn't believe him, or I guess at this point, you know, doesn't believe what drove him mad. It was just, oh, he was an insane person that killed himself because he thought he saw stuff, you know, who knows? He was high on morphine all the time, you know what I mean? But anyway, that was an interesting story. I want to check these other things out. I'll give it some look. I don't know if they're, you know, worth doing for a video, but if you'd like to see more, you can check it out for yourself, or at least tell me about it. Let me know if it's something I should check out in video form. I'll be happy to do it. But anyway, that's it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you all. Here's some more stuff you can watch right here. I'll see you next time. Bye.